guys, and welcome to Math with McKay. Today our focus is going to be on division. All right, we're going to use some different strategies so that we can learn how to divide differently. So whatever way works for you, you use that and you try it out. All right, whenever you come up with any type of question. Now with division, you'll have some answers that are exact, meaning that the number will go in evenly, and then you'll have some answers where there might be a remainder, meaning that there's some left over. All right. Now, long division isn't always everybody's strong suit, okay? So, 258 divided by 6. Here's the first example that we'll do. When we're doing long division, we're trying to figure out how many groups of 6 is in 258. How many groups can we get out of 258? How many groups of 6 are we able to get out of 258? 258 is our dividend, the number we are dividing into. Okay? And then 6 is going to be your divisor. How many groups do you want? And then whatever this equals, that's going to be our quotient. Answer to a division problem. Okay? So then we're going to go ahead and we're going to set up the long division process. Your divisor, this is what it would look like if we're doing a standard algorithm. The standard algorithm uses this, and I like to call it the house. All right? So your dividend is always going to go inside the house. 258. All right? That's just the same way I can take this 258 and divide it by 6 and put it in the form of a fraction. I can say 258 divided by, notice I said divided by when I put that line, 6. This is the numerator goes inside the house, okay? So then your divisor goes outside of the house. And now we're going to break it up and figure out how many times the number 6 can go into each one of these digits. We're going to go step by step and go place value by place value, right? The first step to dividing is to divide, right? So here's an acronym that we can use. Does McDonald's sell burgers raw? And each of the letters in there represents something. So the first one where it says does, the letter D, divide. Then the M stands for multiply. The S is subtract. The B is bring down. And then the R is repeat. So after we've divided, after we've multiplied, after we subtract, after we bring down, then we got to repeat the step. Go right back here, okay? So we're going to do the same thing. The question you want to ask is can this number 6 go into 2? If I only have 2, can I pull out groups of 6? No, because the number 2 is smaller than our divisor. So we're going to put the 0 on top of the number 2 because 6 can't go into it. So now, instead of us working with 2, we're going to expand it to a 2-digit number. We're going to ask ourselves, how many groups of 6 is in 25? How many times can I pull out 6? So if you don't know this off the top of your head, this is just skip counting by 6, right? So I can write out all the multiples of 6. So I go 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48, 54, so on and so forth, okay? So then I count how many times does it take for me to get close to this number 25 but not go over. So this would be 6 times 1, 6 times 2, 6 times 3, 6 times 4. I can't use 6 times 5 because 30 is more than what I have. I only have 25, so I can't have more than what I have. So I'm going to stop at 6 times 4. 6 can divide into 25 4 times. So then, when you multiply, you take your divisor and multiply it by your quotient, the number that you put in your quotient, okay? So I'm going to say 6 times 4, and the answer to that is going to go underneath what you were working with. We were working with 25, so we're going to put 24 underneath. Then we're going to do the next step, which is subtract. So we're going to say 25 minus 24. And then we do 25 minus 24. 5 minus 4 is 1. And then we're going to go to the next step. So we've divided, we've multiplied, we subtracted. The next thing is bring down. You bring down the next digit right next to the one you just wrote. So then the next question is how many times will 6, so we repeat, right? How many times can 6 go into 18? How many 6s can I pull out of 18? I already wrote my multiples down, so I'll say this is 6 times 1, 6 times 2, 6 times 3. 6 times 3 is 18, so I'm going to put the number 3 up there. So then I do the multiplication. 6 times 3 is 18. Then I do the subtraction. 18 minus 18 is 0. I know that I've finished when I've used all my digits and my final answer is 0, all right? Now, sometimes there might be a remainder. If the question asks you to leave the remainder, then you leave the remainder, but you want to work it till you get 0, okay? So every time you're doing this, this is one strategy. So now we're going to do another strategy. All right, now we're going to use what we call the partial product. All right, partial product, we're just going to take this number and break it down, kind of get as close to the number as possible as opposed to breaking it down by place value. But we're going to use powers of 10. So anything that we're going to start off with, it's going to end in a 0, okay? So we're going to say, again, setting it up the same way, your dividend goes inside 258. Your divisor goes outside, right? Then we're going to draw a line on the right side, right? It looks like the number 7. So this idea is called the big 7 because the house looks like a 7, right? So as we go through it, we're going to say, what can I multiply 6 by to get close to this 250 without going over, okay? So I can say 6 times 4 we know is 25. Right? But we wanted to make it into a 3-digit number. So instead of just saying 6 times 4, we're going to say 6 times 40. Okay? 6 times 40 equals 240. So I can go ahead and put 240 over here. What can also help is still writing down your multiples of 6. So we know it's 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 50, 48, 48, 54, 60, right? So on and so forth. But using these can help us kind of get a gauge. And then you take any of these numbers and multiply it by 10. You're going to get 60, 120, 180, 240, 300, 360, 420, 480, 540, 600, right? Which puts us in this 3-digit range. It's just multiplying that number by 10. Anything you multiply by 10 is going to add a 0, okay? So we're saying 6 times 40 because it takes us 4 times to get to 240 without going over. So we say 258 minus 240. So then we go 8 minus 0 is 8. 5 minus 4 is 1. 2 minus 2 is 0. All right, so then what's left is a smaller digit that you can work with, right? So we can ignore these zeros because they're just zeros in this case. And right now we're only working with a 2-digit number here. 18 is a 2-digit number. So all I need to do is make sure that these are in 2-digit forms, right? So 6 times 1, 6 times 2, 6 times 3. So then we come here on the side and go 6 times 3 equals 18, all right? So then we say 18 minus 18 equals 0. Then you take your numbers that you multiplied by. We multiplied by 40 and 3, and then just add those together. So 40 plus 3 equals 43. So our answer would be 43, which is the same exact answer that we got when we did it using the standard algorithm. The next way that we'll learn is using the area model. And just like when you guys were doing multiplication, we took these numbers and we broke them up according to their place values, right? So we figure out, first of all, we draw our box. And in this case, we have 3 digits here, right? So we're just going to break this up according to our 3 digits, right? So you ask yourself, how many hundreds do we have? We have 200. So we're gonna put 200 in the first box. Then you ask yourself, how many tens do we have? We have 5 tens, which is 50, right? And then you ask, how many ones do you have? You have 8 ones, so then you're gonna put the number 8 in there. Then on the outside, we're gonna put the number 6. So we're trying to figure out how many 6s can we pull out of here. We have our multiples of 6. All we need to do is add those zeros on to the end of these numbers, right? So the closest I can get to 200 without going over would be 6 times 30, which is 180. So we're gonna put 30 on the top and put 180 on the inside. So then you say 200 minus 180. You have 0 here. Excuse me, you have 0 here. 0 minus 0 is 0. Here, I have a 0, but I don't have enough to subtract 8. So I have to move over 1 and take 10 from the 2, which turns it into a 1 now, and this 0 becomes a 10. So then I can say 10 minus 8, which is 2, okay? Then we're going to take that, right, and move it over. When we move it over, we have to add it to what was already there. So now we take this and bring it over here and we say plus 20, right? And then 50 plus 20 is 70. So now, how many times will 6 go into 70? We look over here and we get close to it. That's 10. 6 times 10, because the next one will be 66, or I can say 11. So then we put 11, because 11 gets us closer. Okay? So 6 times 11 gets us closer to 70. So we say 6 times 11, which is 66. Then we say 70 minus 66. You have 0 here, so I gotta go next door, change that to a 6, make that a 10. Then we do 4. Then we add this to the 8. 4 plus 8 is 12. And then we say, how many times will 6 go into 12? 6 goes into 12 2 times. 6 times 2 is 12. 12 minus 12 is 0. So then we take these numbers and we add them together. So we say 30 plus 11 plus 2 is equal to, and let's go ahead and line it up so we can see it. 30, 11, and 2. 1 and 2 make 3. 3 and 1 make 4. And again, it's the same answer that we came up with. So those are 3 different ways that you can go about solving the same problem, okay? So we're gonna now practice some of these examples on our own and see if we remember.